into my life and it taught me about women in tech and the need for diversity and inclusion in our daily lives. So, without further ado, here is a quick and simple introduction to the 52 Conversations with the Heroes in Our Lives with Tia. Hi, good afternoon. I think it's good morning for you there right now, Tia. And welcome to the show. I know it's a weekend, and Sumana is going to kill me knowing that we're both working on a on a Sunday.
Yes, don't tell her we were working on a Sunday for sure.
This is going to come out on the wall one time, sometime soon, and she's going to see it's like, oh, working on a Sunday. But I want to thank you so much for your time today, Tia, because I don't really have many people like you in my network, and I'm very grateful for people like you in my network because we need people like you. We do, and it's so underrepresented at the moment. It's not right. It's just not right. So before I actually launch into that, so I want to let the viewers know, welcome to the 52 Conversations with the Heroes in Our Lives. It's a very simple show where I want to highlight 52 amazing souls who are helping people professionally, privately, and doing it over a social media platform because it's not all about selling or being famous and being an influencer and being, someone who brings in like multi-million dollars with their clients and that kind of stuff, or multi-million followers on whatever platform they're on. And I remember, I think I got to know you over Clubhouse.
Yeah.
Then we went into LinkedIn, and then we had a little call there, um, and then I realized who you are and what you do, and I thought like, oh yes, finally I get to know someone like this, and I'm very blessed. So before we go on further, I'd like you to introduce yourself, Tia. Let the people know who you are and what you do.
Sure. My name is Ta Romero. I have circa 18 years of clinical research experience. Um, so a lot of people don't know, I guess, what that means to be in clinical research, but there's a lot of different levels. You don't have to just be a doctor or a nurse to get into clinical. It helps for sure, depending on what kind of role you're looking for. But I actually entered as a assistant doing documents. So I took in the mailers from the clinical research associates, and I would scan them into the system and file them for them. So I actually started at the very bottom and then saw the opportunities in this industry, and I just have worked my way up. Now I am a portfolio manager, and that means I manage particular clients' relationships within my company. And I'm more focused now on the IT side of things. So as before I was in the operations side, now I've switched and I'm more on IT. And part of what I noticed when I started my career is that there just aren't very many women in higher management positions, and especially C-suite. I've never been under a woman. So I started a group called Leaders in Clinical Research in 2019, and it's just a small group, but we're really encouraging of each other. The whole point of the group is to talk about opportunities or talk about how we navigated different career situations. So we're hoping to give advice to people that are interested in clinical, but also, people that already have careers. Maybe they've hit a wall, they don't know what the next steps are. And so we kind of talk about that. And I've had several guest speakers on to give expert advice as well as, just my own experience. So I often reach out to people to help, navigate those meetings. But the whole point is to have a positive experience, because I think sometimes at work we get bogged down with negative talk, and negative talk doesn't help anybody. It doesn't help you get ahead. It's not going to help the company get more money. It's not going to help the clients. It's okay to see the negative, but you have to be thinking solution. And that's what I'm trying to instill in people, is to think based on solution.
Because you did it and you know it
Yep.
works.
Yes,
And
I did it.
and you made it work. I, it's a typical Cinderella story. No, no, not Cinderella. I'm sorry. That's so wrong. So wrong. So wrong. My DEI friends are gonna kill me for this one. You need another lecture on like unconscious biasness. Wave the purple flag. This is a very strong story about finding, knowing your dreams, identifying your goals, and working towards it, and finding the opportunity in wherever you can. Because a lot of people that I know in the older days who started off in your position, they would have stayed in those positions and not strive to go up. Because I came from the med tech field, we used to work with nurses, so a lot of nurses would stay just as nurses. They don't want to go to the APN, the advanced nurse practitioner course, and get up to a leadership position because they're like, this is my level, this is what I want to do. You know, and it's a new generation of younger nurses that goes like, yeah, I'm gonna take it. I'm gonna work really hard, starve for 2 years, and come back in and be, a leader. And
Yeah.
I can.
Something I've noticed too is that a lot of people will come to me and say things like, I want to be a project manager. So I'm applying for all of these project management roles, which, logically makes sense, but you have to have experience to get to the project management level. So you actually do have to start out in those step positions before. And I think that's hard for people. It's hard on the ego. It's hard when you're a college graduate. It's hard to say, okay, I need to start at the very bottom. But a lot of clinical research is kind of based that way. You're not going to get very far without experience. And so your whole goal in entering is really building that experience up so that you can present well for the next position.
You explained something that I couldn't understand for a longest time. So a while ago I was trying to apply to this pharma company that handles the first medication that's supposed to work against dementia, I think.
Okay. Yeah.
It was the first in the market, and no one had this. It's new, it's brand new. I can't remember the name of the company. Alzheimer's, sorry, Alzheimer's, not dementia, Alzheimer's. And it's brand new, and then they were looking for a marketing intern with preferably a master's in life sciences or pharma or medical, masters,
Yeah.
8 to 10 years of working experiences, and able to do powerful copywriting and stuff. I'm like, wait, sorry, you want someone like that for an internship for 1 year? Like 1 year? Masters? 8 to 10 years experiences, an internship for 1 year? For a, like, what? And now it makes sense. Like, I'm like, who's gonna apply for the job? Like, but apparently, okay, because of the potential of what's going to come. So, but you see, that's what happens when guys look at jobs like this. They would just apply for it and go for it, even though they're not fulfilling half the stuff, right? But
Yeah, it's so funny you say that because I did read recently that
I know.
women have to meet like 90% of the job requirements, whereas men, it's like 40, 50% they're
Good
gonna
enough.
they're gonna
Let's go.
apply.
And that makes it tough because I have a friend who works in one of the um, what do you call this company, like Google, Amazon, Facebook? What's the name for that?
Yeah, it's like
Fang companies.
FANG.
Let's just use the word FANG companies. Even though I mentioned the name already, but it's one of the FANG companies, and they're big and everything. And every time they have a job opening, 14 out of the 15 who comes, men. So the HR is having a problem because, like, we need to have more female, we need to have more diversity, but they cannot just go out and say we want females only. This again on the other side wrong. So it's it's really hard, and I'm very proud. I personally know 3 ladies who are studying right now, doing their PhD in one of the STEM subjects itself, and they're like, I'm the only girl in the lecture. I'm the only lady. I'm like, why? That's not right. So in Switzerland itself, we do have very little women in what do you call it? Whole professors in the whole academic area. Very little. Very hard for them to get in and stay inside. And how can we change this?
I think it's hard. It's a complicated problem, but I think a lot of people don't see the potentials that are there. Like I said, they think either they have to be a doctor or a nurse or a chemist, and there are so many opportunities that are not those. So, I started in the industry with just an English um, degree. I was just a BA English. I've I got my nursing certificate after I started, and then I went on and I have two masters now. But I think that just trying to get your foot in the door is the thing that mostly turns people off. So, um, what I would suggest is just helping people understand the possibilities that are in STEM, learning how to get your foot in the door, working with someone. And sometimes companies also put up barriers that we don't even see, because when they're describing a job,
Yeah.
it most likely will appeal to a man. And that language that they're using in the job description is very much geared toward a specific, like white male, older white male, right? So we have now specialists in DEI that work on creating language that is inclusive. So I I see that in my own company, we have a lot more people that are really trained in DEI, that have studied DEI. It's not enough anymore to be an HR rep and have them just slap on a title, you're now diversity, right? Because we see that all the time in these larger corporations. That's not going to cut it. We need people that are actually trained, that actually know things like how to word job descriptions for everyone. So I see those are small steps toward including women. But also, like you said, at the university level, we can start including more women professors. We can start reaching out. But unless the institution is willing to say that there's a problem, you know, we really just need to make sure our voices are heard. So I guess talking about this until change is made.
And keep talking still, because that's how it starts. That's where we need to pick up critical mass over the time, and then we can really just hit them with it. Because if look at all, I'm not advocating for a riot. I'm not advocating for anything like that. But the moments in time where we have changed a lot happened when we come together in different forms, not just a riot, in different forms. It can be just backing up one another, supporting one another through support groups, conversations, clubhouse, professional networking groups, to actually bring this topic to light, and to make it, talk about it till the cows come home, we say it, or talk about it till it becomes a norm. I'm going to speak about myself. In the old days, you don't tell people you're LGBTQIA plus ally. I think I got it right now. Yeah. In a job, because that would get you fired, or that would get you, like, you're not going to get a job. They're like, okay, thanks, bye. But today, I'm going to say this with all the love in my heart. I have a boss who goes like, I've got it all done. I've got the diversity. I got diversity checked. I got a guy. I got a gay one. I got a one who's been a foreigner but lives here now for over 10 years, speaks the language locally, and he gets it here, and he's going to be, a Swiss citizen over time. I'm like, yeah, you can say it, you can think it, you can do it, but you can't say it. Especially in an open office, like, you got to stop. Um, so
Yeah.
we have what I call the pendulum thing. You don't know what you don't know, and then you know, and you go all the way out, and you come back and forth again until we find the middle path. So tell us now, if you can. So what we don't know, we don't know. So how does it look like when we write a job description with the voice of a, sorry to say this, old white man voice, and how does it sound like otherwise?
I'm not trained in DEI, but I think that some of the wording, the action verbs, and things like this slightly change. It's not a huge change, but it's slight. And there are a lot of experts out there that can take a job description and change it and really make it appealing to diverse people. And but something that you did mention that I think is really interesting is how much more open we are in general in the workplace right now. And, my company has an LGBTQIA plus group, and I'm a member of that group. And I think we need allyship. We need that on the women's side as well, because when I join that group, I see a vast majority of um, people, I guess, across the spectrum, really. There's people that have children that are impacted. There are people that are themselves impacted. There are people that have loved ones. So really the allyship is strong there, right? We want to support each other. For women, when you join a women's group, it's all women. And I see that as it's a problem, right? We need to have allyship. We're not going to go very far without men. We need men on board. So, yeah, I would say reaching out across, the different groups, and including everyone. It's not just women's problem. It's everyone's problem. And when you look at different cultures, it's been proven that cultures that women are able to, move up and have careers, those are stronger, economically, they're stronger, like culturally. There's just a lot of positives for having women very active in the workforce. And I think the United States in 2020 fell to, I want to say 50th in the world for women's equality. So
What?
that's really a low number. Yeah. And that was done by the Women's Economic Forum. They did that study. So it's something that we, especially since the pandemic, really need to discuss and talk about. Women just don't have childcare is a huge, huge part of that. Um,
Okay.
in the U.S., it's very hard. It's just very hard.
Pardon my being naive, but I thought US is so forefront with all this topic and with equality and everything. How is it that we're moving forward but kind of like falling backwards?
I'm not. I'm not sure how we. I think we've always been kind of in this situation. We do talk a lot about change or about equality, but that's a lot of talk, and it's not a lot of procedure changes or legislation. And then when we do have legislation, it's very hard to
Get it
prove.
passed, yeah. Mm.
Yeah, because in the U.S. we do keep our salaries very secret, very close to us. No one talks about it. So that's a wall too. If
Oh,
people
how is
aren't
that a
talking
wall?
about, because if you're not talking about how much you make, how do you know that you're making less than everyone else, right? So in a way, it keeps
Ah,
us stagnated. There are some companies in my industry that now are doing, they have basic salary ranges for all the positions, and they're keeping those
open.
in a public open space, so you can see what range you are, and you can see and compare. But you still don't have the exact idea of what your male counterpart will make. Um,
Wait,
so
why is that? Why should there be a difference between how much the guy made and how much the girl make in the same position?
there should not be, but there is in the US. It's always been slightly less. And I think, especially Black women and Latino women make a lot less than white male counterparts. So it's a problem across the board, across women's equality.
This is where I'm naive, and I admit I'm naive because I was thinking like we were moving far ahead, and I'm living in Switzerland, and we always get teased because we are always told that we're the last country in the world to actually have women vote, and
Mm,
it was on,
no.
the bill was only passed in I think 1990, 1971 or 1991. I think it's really late, really really late, and it was only pushed through because like the ladies themselves didn't even like bother with it, like no big deal. you know. But it was pushed through because of external forces and stuff. But we have been having female presidents
Hmm.
since then, ever. It's always. And
Yeah.
the male presidents are still rude to the female presidents. I've seen not interviews, like yeah, documentaries where the male president was walking by the female, and they were like, "Oh, you should go home and cook dinner." And I was like, "What? You can't say that to people. Like, why don't you go home
Yeah.
and boil water for tea?" But I can't talk about politics. I need to script this off the this part. Oh. I forget. I forget. But you see, so now I see more the importance of what you're doing and all that kind of stuff. And I still don't think it's enough. Like, so if I have a magic wand and there's no consequences for you, what would your ideal outreach program look like to actually get this message out there more?
Well, I would have a larger group, a larger percentage of men involved, helping women, becoming mentors to women. I think mentorship and allyship go hand in hand. I have a lot of mentors. I have people that look to me for mentorship, and I, you know, my friend Sophie Johannen has created a really great mentorship room in Clubhouse in the Mending Medicine space. And the work that she's doing there is really great. But I think for me, what would make my group stronger is just the allyship portion. Just because a lot of women gather doesn't mean men are not welcome. We definitely need to hear their perspectives, and we need to connect with allies, people that are going to fight for us as well.
May I share with you my experience? Because I'm seen as the most non-threatening because being gay and everything,
Mm,
and somehow I just happen I'm a good mommy's boy. I'm my grandma's favorite grandson. So I get everything I want, and I'm non-threatening, so it's easier for me to get in there. But I've learned now, having worked in so many female only organizations serving female only,
mhm.
and sometimes even applying for positions in such areas because I know I have experience. But they were like, you know what? No, we don't need another guy to come in and mansplain things to us. I'm like,
Mhm.
okay, not my job. And this is why my platform and my LinkedIn network itself is not very obvious. I don't want to make it obvious as well because God knows what will happen if I make it obvious. I will get so much negative feedback. But I have a bunch of female entrepreneurs that are working on their way up. They're working their way up,
Mhm.
but they don't quite have all the information. They don't have quite all the pieces yet and the resources. And God knows that I shouldn't try to say anything because anything I say is going to come across as mansplaining no matter what. But I found a solution to it, and that's to bring in successful, established female entrepreneurs, female professionals in, and my platform is the place where they see each other,
Mhm.
and then they're like, "Oh wait." And they did it by themselves. I just have to do post content and they comment. And they're like, oh, wait, she's doing that and she's doing that. Oh, can we connect? I'm like, go right ahead. Do you want me to do an introduction? I would happily do an introduction for you. And
Mhm.
and, and I see that works without me getting negative clap back for
Yeah.
anything.
And I will say, there's a difference between someone coming in and telling you, like, oh, look, this is how things go. And you're a woman who's been in the industry for 18 years, and you're like, yeah, I know, I've done this before. And then there's a difference between that and like a collaboration or partnership. So that may be true, um, that we need more guidance on how to create partnerships instead of, creating this kind of man.
Come in. Let me show you how it's done.
Yeah.
Let me
Yeah.
show you how it's done because I know better. Like,
Hmm.
jack shit. Um,
Yeah.
so,
Yeah. I can see the frustration. And it does happen quite a bit, I think, especially women in science, because, I have a friend that's a scientist. She knows a lot about sciencey stuff that I don't really know about because I didn't study science. And to have, men direct her in a way where she already knows what she's doing, that's not appropriate. But if she had someone that was like, hey, let's partner up and let's do this, or maybe this will work for you. It's about a the approach, I guess, and the what is behind
Intention
that,
behind the
right? Yeah,
intention.
like
Yeah.
what is the intention? Is the intention to correct someone because, I don't know if we need correcting, but or is the intention to help and motivate someone,
Ooh,
right?
that's
And
a
I
good one.
always
Yes.
think you should come from helping, motivating people. Like I said, my group is positive. Like we want to focus on positives and solutions, not on all the negatives. I don't, we can bitch all day about work, right? But it's not really going to help anyone get ahead. It's not going to change anything. So I really want to change the conversation. I want people to be thinking solution based.
Nice.
Um,
Yes.
you know,
So I'm hearing this, and my in my head how I work being neurodiverse and everything is I take what people are asking for and I turn them into actions itself. So I'm
mm-hmm,
hearing we need to have more men inside, and we need more men to come in seeking partnership and collaboration instead of coming in and showing you the ropes. Because
mm-hmm.
until you live a day through the life of a woman or even a week, you don't know what's happening. You really don't know the things that go through the woman's head. My best friends are all females. I can't live through their head because I'm like, I put on clothes, let's go. Like, no. I'm like, okay. So
Yeah.
this is a call out. So tell us a little bit more. Where can we find this group? How can we, men, women,
Mm-hmm.
anyone and everyone along the spectrum, come in, and what kind of people are you looking for, and what kind of resources do you need?
Sure. Well, I'm open to anyone that's looking to enter the field, anyone that's looking to mentor or sponsor, any experts that would like to present. We do host various Zoom collaborative meetings, and you can find us on LinkedIn at Leaders in Clinical Research, or we have a website, leadersinclinicalresearch.com, and you can sign up for newsletter or email notifications, and you can reach out to me to get involved there. Yeah, but we're always looking for people that are excited to get involved uh, and mentor and sponsor women.
So when you say mentor, so you're looking for people who have experience in the industry for a bit and has the time and the capacity and wants to help
So.
and
Hmm.
not preach. Which I can see where it becomes difficult for men because men will come in like, you need a mentor. I'm a mentor. Let me show you how it's done. That's how we think, um, because that's. I'm sorry, we're that simple minded, but actually, because it's all about how you say it. It's not about what you say all the time.
Hmm.
So if you're a guy, woman, anything along the spectrum, and you have skills that you think can be helpful for the group or anywhere you go, you want to make sure that you come in and ask for collaboration and partnership because
Hmm.
let's just put it this way: no matter where you go and what you do and how you do it, you always learn from both sides. You always learn from both sides. And if you think you can just come in and just swag in and show them how it's done, you can't because you don't learn that way. So, thank you very much for this. And is there anything else you want to share with us about the industry that you think that could benefit us and our knowledge?
Yeah, I would say, along those lines, be humble, always have a growth mindset. I know that's kind of a trending term right now, growth mindset, but look for ways in which you can, move up or learn. Um, and sometimes opportunities present to us and they're not what we initially want, or it's something we think is beneath us. I would suggest looking at that opportunity, really doing a deep dive on what the outcome would be. Don't just, poo poo things before really giving it a good look. We have to sometimes start at the bottom to get where we want to go. So, keeping your mind on the ultimate goal of where you see yourself and then kind of taking some steps back, like, well, how did I get there? If I'm already there, how did I get there? And kind of keeping track of those. um,
I can see
yeah,
where it's
yeah.
where it's difficult because to get to a goal, we want to be moving upwards and forward,
Hmm.
right? And when we're doing that, and we have an opportunity that says like, okay, you want to do that, but you have to start two steps back.
Yeah.
And then we wonder, there's a discourse here, because if I put myself in the shoe of a female, or anyone for that matter, and I'm saying I want to get to my goal, and my goal is there, and someone now tells me that to get there I have to take two steps back, which is something that I'm working on, not going backwards, because going backwards is not going to help you move forward. It's what I think in my head, and it's the same thing as sales. You can't keep giving your products out for free, thinking that one day you're going to be able to sell a lot of it, because you're not going to get there. So how do you overcome this idea about moving back to go forward? How do you overcome that kind of mentality um, block?
Yeah, it's a good question. So I vote I focus on like value
Oh
goals
yeah,
instead of like you know focusing on the money or on the level or on
titles.
those are nice things, titles, money, and all of that, and I think that will come with the work, right? So I focus on values and looking at each position. And it's funny because there was a time where I had moved up to project manager, and I wanted to go in a different direction. I wanted to, look at different things. And in our world of clinical, everything is kind of siloed a bit. So, to move in from project management into study startups, which is where I was going, you have to take a little bit of a step back. It it was just for the learning possibilities, right? So I look at the value of the job. Is this going to get me to my ultimate goal of where I want to be? Yes, it is. So it is worth it for me to move into that role, and then build on that. So it's important to, I think, focus on your values and on the ultimate goal that you want, but also really knowing yourself and like what are you good at. And I think that took me some time as well, but doing like a real a SWOT analysis on yourself, which is like the successes that you could have, and um, compared to like the obstacles that are in your life. So it's important to focus on what you do well, but not let that pigeonhole you, right? Like maybe I'm not that great at public speaking. Maybe I stumble a little bit when I'm talking, but those are things I can improve on if I work, right? So I'm not going to let that stop me from pursuing that kind of role.
So what I'm hearing is have a lot of self-awareness,
Hmm.
and when you're not sure, check in with the people around you, because they
Hmm.
know your strength way better than you. And this is why
Hmm.
the power of a networking group is there, and it's amazing, because a lot of the times when we don't know something, we don't know what we don't know, and we have nobody to turn to because we don't know anything about it. And having a networking group like yours allows that safe space for men, women alike to share information and to share knowledge and collective learning. And that's why Clubhouse is doing so well, because it's about collective learning. It's learning things that we cannot pick up in our normal daily lives, in our normal daily siloed path. So so I think it's really amazing, and the day that this is going to be released, I would really love to have you come in and put all the links that you have down there for everybody to join, because yeah, we can be lazy asking them to type in leaders in clinical research and stuff like that. They'll be like, oh, I'll do it, and they never do it. But on today, I want to thank you so much for your time today. I know it's a weekend. I really appreciate your time so much,
Thank
um,
you.
and thank you for being one of the heroes in our lives.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you, Sebastian. I really appreciate your time too.
Gotcha. And that was a conversation that I had with Tia, and I'm really blessed that she came in and she showed us a lot of things that I hope has benefited you too. And thank you, Tia, once again for taking part in our 52 conversations, and we're blessed to have you.